Good morning, guys. This is my morning brief, real quick here. So, bottom line is, in my opinion, the downtrend is still valid. We tagged to the penny in the pre-market here, the resistance, and so we have a gap below us, and we've already hit, in my opinion, what is resistance. So keep that on watch here going into today's session. If you come down here on your pivots on your SPY, okay, we are still well below all of our major pivots on our SPY. So this is technically a sell the pop scenario still intact here. So a heads up on that going forward here. Qs, we'll just do this backwards compared to what I did SPY. Load our Qs real quick here. Qs, similar situation. We came up, we're below our this is our current weekly pivot. We are slightly above the developing pivot for next week to start Friday. But this is, like I said, similar situation going on here on the Qs. Maximize sell. So bottom line is what we got going on here on the Qs. The Qs are the strongest. We are inside of last week's trading range to open the session. So be aware of that. So the news does seem a little bit more bullish this morning. So I could see a very uh, quite a potential that we could be inside of this trading range today, that we go back into next week or last week's trading range. So that is a theory that I'm putting out there. And if that is the case, we would have a potential target up here around the 342, and that's inside of our bands. So even potentially 344 today, if, if that is a scenario that plays out here. Okay, guys, into the last week's trading range. Okay. And then we have, let's do this one more time, IWM. Okay. So bottom line is this is acting a little bit weaker based on my, see, we've been going sideways for a while here. Okay. And based the way I got, this is the next strongest, okay, in my opinion. So bottom line is we are right above this band right here. So it looks to me like potential we're going to be coming up to the top of the range at some point this morning. Doesn't mean that we're actually, like I said, we've been channeling sideways. We don't have a breakout pattern quite yet. But I do want to float that idea. And then we'll go back over here on our pivots on IWM here. The pivot wise, we are looking a lot better here on our pivot wise. So we are testing our quarter pivot or our monthly pivot and our weekly pivot right here. Dual resistance right here that we're right into on our IWM and our diamonds to finish it all off here. Very weak here on our diamonds, well below our weekly pivot. Okay, so remember that below all of our major pivots going into a Friday here. If they were ever going to dump the markets, this would be the scenario. So I do want to float that idea. And then if you look here on your center of gravity charts here, so bottom line is, since we've come up here, I just draw a line up here. We are within last week's trading range on that. And put this here and anchor. So we are into resistance, initially trying to reject that here on our diamonds. So remember that. So diamonds would be the one that would be leading to the upside, in my opinion. And prior quarter close is up here right above us. So that is a scenario that we might be coming back up and back testing the quarter close to finish off our week here on the diamonds. So I am along Boeing, and so keep an eye out. Caterpillar looks really good on the chart on that. So I would be really looking. If my scenario is right here, Apple is going to be strong out of the gate this morning. So keep that one on watch, Apple. If the diamond thing is a scenario here, keep a really close eye on your Apple here. We really need some relative strength here on Apple. Initially here, we are not seeing that. They're selling it down really early here. So that is not the case on Apple because Apple is such a major Dow component. UNH is another one that way you would have to really, yeah, that's acting pretty good here on UNH, coming off of a higher low. So that's another one to keep on watch here. So another thing we're looking at here are VX futures. we are currently well below our weekly pivot. So, we've had a nice solid rejection coming down, testing our monthly pivot here, possibly testing that early on this morning. This is a bullish scenario for the markets. So, let's keep that in mind here. Being below that, that was supporting, we've been stair stepping all week long, you know, to the upside. This that definitely looks like a sentiment change coming into Friday going on here with the VX futures. So as far as bond yields go today, we do have a divide in Europe. The richer countries in Europe, they do have a nice little bid in bond yields. Okay, so that means bonds are down. We have bonds here down in the U.S. as well. So there is a obviously an appetite for higher yields in the more developed economies. Now, if you get into the weaker part, like Italy, Italy has major exposure to Germany, or major exposure to Russia. So their yields are doing the opposite. So the bonds really do have a bid in Italy and some of the weaker Eurozone countries. So be aware of that. So so we basically definitely have a significant change, uh, uh, based on risk exposure to Russia, definitely showing up here. Okay, another thing here, guys. We are currently trading below this week's pivot. So we are actually having an opening print the end of the week below our pivot. I could see actually a move down to $100 possibly today on crude, so keep an eye on that. So, basically we got a lot of support in this area, anywhere from the 96 to the 105. This is a really strong supportive area, in my opinion. So even if we do come down, it's still a viable dip, probably, in my opinion. And then another one I want to point out here. This is your wheat futures. E-mini ones here I got up here, but the same thing with the other one. We are below the weekly pivot on the wheat futures. So the massive gamma squeeze we have seen in some of these commodities is coming off early on this morning to finish out the week. And so that's why I'm still leaning more to the bullish side in the markets as we're seeing stuff normalize here a little bit this morning. So some stocks that I do want to point out, some early appetite in the early market session here. NVIDIA, which is still below all of our major moving pivots. We do have an early interest in NVIDIA this morning. Facebook. Early interest in Facebook down here. So I want to point that out. Bank of America. Okay. There you go. Nice little downtrend here. Bank of America early on this morning. Trying to break out of this downtrend here on Bank of America this morning. Keep that one on watch. BABA, Left for Dead, along with most of the Chinese stocks. This thing here is really taking a beating. Way below the weekly pivot. So I could actually see a reversion higher, just too many people too short. Boeing is on my list. Okay. I have a potential target here for Boeing all the way up, back testing 190 today here on Boeing. I actually have that on my other chart over here. I showed it to the other guys in the room. A bunch of us took Boeing in the overnight session. I got a small position in it, nothing major. But see, 190, that puts us still inside the bands for an upside target here for Boeing. So heads up on that if that were to happen. So bottom line is we're right here fighting the bull bear cross line. So remember that, guys. You're right into resistance. So that this is not no sure deal by no means. And like I said, Apple, we really got to see it. I feel a lot better if Apple was actually showing a breakout scenario, which we don't quite have that yet. So I'm a little bit hesitant, but Boeing is showing some relative strength here, and I do have on my watch also AMD. AMD getting a potential, but I'm not getting a momentum signal here. And then I'm going to finish it off with Tesla. Tesla, we might actually see if the markets were to rally here. So we're right into resistance here on Tesla. If we start breaking out the day highs here, I can see a potential target at 920 on Tesla. So keep that in mind here. Possible 920 on Tesla if we were to get momentum in this market, or a gamma squeeze or something of that magnitude. Definitely things look a lot better today on the open than what we've seen any other day this week. So, you know, we'll see what happens here. But I do really like the idea that SPY is back inside of, I think it's SPY, wasn't it? Let me double check here before. And I know the Qs are. Let me go on a weekly here. So we're at 429. Let me make sure I don't have that on this chart here. 429. No. So that's a little bit late. So the Qs are back inside of last week's trading range, not SPY. So keep that in mind. The Qs is what I was looking at this morning. We're back inside of the trading range, or inside of the candle, the body range of last week. So, okay, guys. So, you know, still really dangerous here to be trying to do the upside. But definitely things, you know, seem to be better. We do have the Ukrainian president coming out, press conference at 11 o'clock today, so remember that too. And we do have quite a bit. We do have some more economic data coming out as well. Okay. I will see you in the trading rooms.